Hello and welcome to week two of the process. And the process that I'm hoping to take everyone through this year is to go from goal setting to goal getting to inspire more self-health responsibility and more self-peace and more world peace. So without further ado, if you want to join me live, just be aware that this is going to be recorded. So if you do want to ask questions at the end, yes, I may stop recording at the end. Anyway, let's go. So week one, we got started and we looked at the first thing to address for gut health, weight loss, anxiety, and a whole load of other things before anything else is addressed. And this is week two. Week two, we're going to talk about Tony Robbins' 7 steps of lasting change, or the 7 master steps to change. And as ever, I'm going to remind you of this quote that was up at the beginning. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And that was Krishnamurti, because many people have realized that even though we are living longer, we are living sicker. We are getting much sicker. Our mental health is declining. Obesity rates are going up. And there's many reasons. It's not your fault. It's the way that society is feeding us all. It's a problem. And this is the real reason why the NHS and other medical systems around the world are being crushed. They're being crushed before the pandemic. If you're watching this in the future, remember it was being crushed before the pandemic. All these problems were here beforehand. And that's what we need to change, because it's you who decides to get healthier at the end of the day. So even though it's not your health, it's not your nor your fault that you've made the wrong decisions up to now. Maybe it is, but you do have to. You can make decisions to get better. So what are we going to cover today? We are going to cover. Let's just make this bigger, shall we? We're going to cover 7 steps. Then we're going to cover the 7 master steps, and then £5 in 5 days process. This last time we spoke about process goals versus outcome goals, and why it's so important to have process goals. So first little quote here from The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Again, if you're having troubles changing lots of habits and today's masterclass isn't enough, then buy some of these books. Or if that's still not enough, get a coach. So the golden rule of habit change: you can't extinguish a bad habit, you can only change it. Now, I don't necessarily agree with this, because I do think you can get rid of bad habits. But certainly at the beginning, you don't want to beat yourself up if you haven't automatically gotten rid of a bad habit, like smoking. Try smoking less at first. For some people, that's the best way to go about it. There's no one way to get rid of a bad habit, and there's no one way to start a good habit. But there are processes that work, and then you can build a framework around it that works well for you. And then another great book is Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg, and it was this 7 steps that I wanted to quickly go through. I have gone through it in more detail before. Well, I was hoping to make that bigger for you guys. Okay, and if I get rid of that silly line and that silly line as well. So B.J. Fogg speaks about being 7 steps to a behavior design process, as in, up to now, is it, who's been designing your behavior? Is it society? The answer is pretty much yes. Your family, your culture, how you grew up, you didn't question anything, and you are living the way you live, not through your fault, but through, well, there is a fault of you didn't question the reality around you, but who are you to question the reality around you? Most people don't. It's not the sort of thing that we want to be worrying about. We are, the way our system works is we're designed to just try and get on and live, and we don't necessarily have to question our reality and why we think the way we do. So anyway, Tiny Habits by B.J. Fogg, another great book. And so I'm just going to whiz through this, and then we're going to go deeper into Tony Robbins' work. So first of all, clarify the aspiration, i.e. what do you want to achieve? Get as clear as possible, because if you're not clear on what you want, you're never going to hit the target. I was listening to a story the other day about a guy who's working with one of the world's best dart players, and yeah, he can hit the board every time, and he can hit the ball like pretty much when he wants. It's not going to happen every time. Otherwise, he'd be the world's best always, or he can hit the triple 20 when needed. But you could beat him very, very easily if you blindfolded him and turned him around 3 times and didn't take the blindfold off. You would beat him because you wouldn't know where the target is. And most people, when it comes to designing their health, they leave it to chance. They haven't got a clear target about what they want to achieve. And then explore behavior options, i.e. what can you actually do to get to where you want to be? And then you want to match specific behaviors. So you actually say, okay, get as specific as you can, and then work the specific behaviors as specifically as you can, such as, I need to do 100 press ups a day. I need to stick to this amount of calories every day. You can't, although I do have issues with that, but never mind. You want to get as specific as possible with every single little bit, and then you want to start tiny. So for instance, if you want to be able to do 100 press ups a day, start by just giving yourself the task of doing 1 press up a day, or maybe 5 is a tiny amount for you. Start with something tiny, and then you want to find a prompt. I connect with something you're already doing, like after you brush your teeth, you're going to do 5 press ups, or before you brush your teeth, you're going to do 5 press ups. Because most people have already got a great habit already installed, as in brushing their teeth once or twice a day, hopefully twice a day. And so you can install another tiny habit around that. I often do some exercise while I'm brushing my teeth, for instance. So start tiny, all kinds of things you can do. Then find a good prompt. That's what I just said. Oops. Celebrate success. Now, this is a big one, and I think I will actually do a bit of a masterclass on celebration, because this is a tough one. Because when you celebrate something, it's a double reward. So instead of just celebrating, okay, I've done 100, I've got to 100 press ups, you want to celebrate every time you do the process. So every time you do the 5 press ups or the 5 sit ups, every time you eat a salad first at the beginning of the meal, every time you eat all your vegetables at the beginning of a meal, and you leave all the stodgy sweet stuff to the end, or you take an extra helping of vegetables so there's less room for the stodgy stuff or the fatty stuff or the sugary stuff. Every time you do the micro behavior that's good, you want to in some way celebrate it, and you want to celebrate it in the right way. So it could be ticking a box, it could just be going yes, and pumping your fist in your mind. There's all kinds of different ways you can celebrate, and then the bigger the actual behavior, the bigger the actual thing, the more you want to celebrate it. And then of course you want to troubleshoot, iterate, expand, and repeat. So that's a basic overview of a basic process, and you can just start by using that. There's nothing wrong with using that. This is a system that works, and if you want to explore it more, get the book or get a coach. But what I want to talk to you more about is the Tony Robbins process. Excuse me. Now, some of you have been to the clinic, you've seen on my wall that it's hiding at the moment. I've just realized I've got a picture of a certificate of doing a fire walk with Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins, if you don't know, he's possibly the world's most expensive life coach, hired by many, many people. But he also does a lot of work trying to bring end to conflicts where possible as well. There's all kinds of things. But Tony Robbins, 3 basic decisions control your life. Okay. And it's basically, are you focused more on what is missing or on what you have? Because where your focus goes, that's where your mind's going to wander, and that's what you're going to get more of. So if you're focused more on what's missing, you're going to get more of that, basically. So I've put a little bit of a description of something you can do. For instance, you could look around the room and take note of what is brown, and then close your eyes and then try and see all the things that are red in the room. Whereas if I'd have asked you to look at the red things, you'd remember the red things. Are you focusing more on what you can control or what you can't control? Again, this is a big part of mental performance mastery, controlling the controllables. Are you focused more on the past or the present or the future? Because now is when you can enjoy stuff. Now is where the power is. Now is where you can do things. So there are different patterns of focus. Where are you? Again, different things require slightly different patterns. But generally you want to focus more, most people need to focus more on what they want more of, focus more on what they can control. That's the important thing, is focusing on what you can control and doing more of the things you can control. So the 7 master steps to change, because this is what we're going to work on. Oh, so again, another thing, 3 levels of mastery. First of all, when you're learning something, first of all, there's 4 levels of mastery. The first level of mastery is you've got no mastery at all because you don't even know that it exists. Then you start learning about it and you know it exists. So you start to get an understanding, like fire is hot. Then you get an emotional standing, like, oh, pain hurts, or fire hurts. And then there's the physical stuff, as your body starts avoiding fire without you having to know anything about it. So there's different levels of mastery, and the more you do something, the easier it becomes. So this is a process. You're not necessarily going to master everything in one go, which is why it's great to start with this process. But you can then add quite easily. You can go into more depth and learn more. Now, one of the first things that Tony does with all of his clients is learns more about them. Same with me. When people come to me with problems, I want to learn what's actually going on, what they want, and what's happened in the past. And when it comes to habit change, you've really got to understand, and as Tony Robbins puts it, understand and appreciate your world. And so before exploring the problem or the issue you want to change, you've got to find what he calls anchors, or in neuro-linguistic programming called anchors. They're all the positive things. So, for instance, take some time to start writing down some of the 3 most powerful positive experiences in your life. Was it something you won? Was there a competition? Was it a present or something that you got? Was it a birthday that you particularly remember? Was it an event that you went to that's particularly amazing? Was it some kind words someone said? Was it something you did, an achievement, an award? Was it graduating? Was it getting married? Was it having children? Was it having grandchildren? What was it? Just visualize some important things. Then you need to know what he calls your 2 main human needs. Now, last week I spoke about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And human needs psychology is based a bit on that, and I'm going to go into more of that next week. You want to understand your values, your beliefs, your rules. What the 6 fears may be at work that are stopping you from going forwards, or that are prompting you to create the behavior you want to. And there's a great book called Napoleon Hill, Laws of Success, though I think he also talks about it in Think and Grow Rich, and I have got that on the next page. I'll let you read that when you come to watch the replay. Then you want to know more about your convincer strategy, i.e., are you motivated by moving towards something because it's pleasurable, or are you more motivated to get away from something because it's painful? And then Brian Kane, my mental performance mastery coach, he calls this overall process putting up your mission, understanding your mission, vision, principles, your MVP process. Which again, I think I'll go into more detail with at some point, but you can work much more swiftly through all of this, understanding where you are and how to change things if you work with the coach. So we will be covering those. These are the 6 major fears according to Napoleon Hill: fear of poverty, fear of criticism, fear of ill health, fear of loss of love of someone, fear of old age, and fear of death. And so one of the things that if you're trying to improve your health, it's probably because of fear of ill health. But one of the reasons you might not actually do some of the things you want to do is maybe fear of criticism. So there's all kinds of different things that might be stopping you from doing what you want to do. You might have fear of poverty, which stops you investing in the things you need to do to get as healthy as you want to be, for instance. So what's the major fear that's stopping you? And will understanding that help you then go forwards? Because it often will. So once you've understood what's going on, you want to actually create a base and get leverage. So this is where you need the anchors, because it's about building motivation and realizing that motivation, and even better, what's something called grit, your stickability, your ability to just keep on going even when you're not feeling like you should, which I think is a better term for motivation. It can be built, and you need these positive things to help you keep motivated, these positive things to help you really get down and bust down and do the things that you need to do. But what you want to do is also you want to associate not doing anything with even more pain. So if you think that doing something is painful and difficult, you want to, in your mind, you want to visualize, and visualization is part of the whole mental performance process. And we'll get to that in future weeks. But getting really good at visualizing that if you don't do anything, you're going to be like on a hotbed of coals and pins and needles and fire, and you need to get going. So, and keep visualizing what you want to be on, and write it down. Write it down. Then you need to try and do things to interrupt limiting beliefs, and also you want to, or habitual behaviors, or you want to do things to make the behaviors you want easier. So for instance, let's talk about the positive side first. If you want to create a new behavior, you want to make it as easy as possible, like making it tiny. Like, I'm going to do 5 press-ups, I'm going to eat my vegetables first, or I'm going to have slightly more vegetables on my plate. I'm going to try and have vegetables with every meal, including breakfast. Oh yes. So, or I'm going to have some fiber at breakfast, and you're going to reward yourself for doing these little things. You also want to make sure that you buy lots of good food to have it in the house. You want to perhaps have your gym stuff prepared if you're planning to go to the gym. You want to get your kit and everything ready so that you can just slip into it in the morning, or you want to have it in your car. You want to basically have your route on the way past your gym, on the way home. There's lots of different things you can do to try and make the habit easier by putting it in your path. Likewise, you can make it harder by interrupting your bad patterns. So you can interrupt your language. So you can start trying to look at the way you're using language, instead of saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, is I can change, I can do something a little bit different. So, and you can both use language to help you get rid of stuff, and also language to help you create more stuff. Interrupting your physiology, posture, movement, nutrition, diet, breathing interrupts your physiology, interrupt your focus. So this is again where, if you work with a partner, accountability partner, a coach, you can keep on interrupting your focus and get you where you want to go. Make it as difficult as possible to do the habit. That's what I've written. So you need a good daily method of operation, or an MV process, to make this, to keep this constantly on track. Oh, and there was something that I went through in my Metanoia Mastermind. If you want my recordings on my Metanoia Mastermind, that's something that you can pay for, and I go through something called the stack, which is great for breaking the emotional freight train. Then define the problem in solvable terms. So this is where you can chunk everything down. Again, it's getting it down into smaller parts. So what exactly is the problem? Is there a pattern to it? Do you, like for instance, smoke after a meal? Do you smoke with a cup of coffee? So stop having coffee, or only go and smoke. So don't smoke with coffee. If you want a cigarette, go and have it just by itself. Try and break things down into lots of different aspects of the problem. Reframing beliefs, such as so many people. I was speaking to one of my colleagues at the weekend, because we've all turned 50 in the last year, and 2 people turned 50 in the last few days, or one's in a couple of days. And we're speaking that, you know, at the age of 50, we have patients who come to us who are 10, 15, sometimes even 20 years younger, saying, oh, I'm getting old at 30, I'm getting old at 35, or I can't do what I used to do. And that's a belief, because I know many people that are older than me who are far fitter and healthier than I am, and they're fitter and healthier than they were 5, 10 years ago. So for instance, look at the 100-year-old marathon runner. He may have passed on now, but he started running marathons, I think, at the age of 80. And then there's a guy called Dragan Radovic. There's so many who held a world strength and endurance record and broke it every year until he was like 60 something. And so there are all kinds of things, like we can age gracefully. You just have to look at what's possible. Just go to YouTube and look up 80-year-old bodybuilders. Look at, you know, stories of people who've dramatically changed. Whatever problem you have, go to YouTube and put in YouTube your problem and completely changed life. And you'll probably find people who've completely overcome what you think is impossible. Language changes the meaning. Yes, change your state, redefining the problem, giving it new meaning. So that's all about just changing your mindset, which is why I'm going to be focusing so much about mindset. Create new empowering alternatives. So again, find out what's worked in the past for yourself. Find out what's worked for other people, find role models, examples and images. So here's the Dragon Runner, it's a 100-year-old marathon runner as well. Raw food for type 1 and type 2 diabetes, increasing insulin. Oh yes, that was amazing. Basically, they're finding lots of people with diabetes think that that's it, they just need drugs, whereas the actual answer is you can actually change it. And even type 1 diabetes in some people is actually reversible. Yes, it's true, and it's going to get doing more research on what we can do for type 1 diabetes. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. I'm just going to highlight Viktor Frankl there, I think. His book, Man's Search for Meaning. He was in the prisoner of war camps. He was Jewish, and he was in the prisoner of war camps put there by the Nazis, and lost everything, but it allowed him to test out his psychological theories on finding meaning in the moment and finding meaning in what you're doing. And it's the only book I've read about first-hand experience of being inside prisoner of war camps, and it is incredibly motivational. It is not. It doesn't leave you depressed. It is amazing. So if you think you've got it bad, read Man's Search for Meaning. Look at embodying a higher state. Look at joy, significance, certainty, growth, contribution. This is again coming back to human needs. Condition the new thought or emotion, or as I've put it here, quite simply, repetition is the mother of learning. Repeat, repeat, repeat. So lay out an action plan, the MVP process or the 1% process. If you listen to my other webinar on Jumpstarting 2023, reinforce with regular minders, triggers, inspiration stacks, bookending. These are all different techniques and things that you can do to trigger yourself to go, I'll remind that by putting post-it notes everywhere, or seeing a door frame and remembering that's my trigger to stand up straight. Or when you see the whites of your wife's eyes, it's a trigger to tell her that you love her, or to remember that you do love her, no matter what's going on. Also, future pacing visualization helps there, but lots of different kinds of ways to make yourself do what you want to do, all kinds of triggers in place, and repeat, repeat, repeat. And another way to keep this all going is to make sure you measure and track. And this is what the Heroic app is really good for. So go to heroic.us. I'll just change that to blue, shall I? Heroic.us, basically. Heroic Us is why he chose US, even though he's American. So heroic.us, and just get the app, because it will help you track and measure all kinds of stuff from the virtues you want to embody. It will help you stay on track with goals in energy, so health, work, and love and relationships. And it's very simple, just takes a few minutes to just do at the beginning of every day, helps you track what you're doing, and it helps you and start small. Start with easy things to do, and it will help. And then 7, release to a higher purpose, connect to an empowering environment. And this again comes back to something I've spoken about many times, is when you have a higher purpose, it really does help you stay on track with what you want to do. And when you actually connect what you're doing, what you want to achieve, to that higher purpose, like if you really are someone who's caring, you're always caring for your children, you're caring for other members of your family, but you never care for yourself. You've got to link caring for yourself with the ability to care for your family. Because if you aren't healthy, you can't help other family members stay healthy. If you want to be the best golfer in the world, you have to look at being healthy. And if you improve your own body, your own mechanics, it's going to help you get there easier. And if you have a better diet, it's going to help you get fitter and stay fitter. So going back to Maslow, need for growth, contribution, actualization, try and get other people involved in your health or whatever it is you're trying to change, in your goals, your ambitions, trying to spread more peace, trying to be more environmentally friendly. Find ways to involve family and friends, teach others, get community involved. And yeah, so that was my point there. What's the point of being really healthy? Being around for your children, your spouse, your parents, God, Allah, your pets as well. People love their pets and want to be around for the pets. Enjoying yourself more. It's easier to enjoy life if you're healthy, because you don't want to be a burden on your children, to avoid illness, to make better decisions. People who have healthier brains and better nutrition and are fitter make better decisions. That's why we need fitter, healthier people in government, in my opinion. So I'm just going to quickly recap. So you have understand and appreciate your world. I should have put this on one side, shouldn't I? Understand and appreciate your world, create a base and get leverage, interrupt limiting and destructive habitual patterns, define the problem in solvable terms, create new and empowering alternatives, condition the new thought, emotion, decision, action, and release to a higher purpose. Okay. And again, give you again, if you're someone who's looking to lose weight, got something for you in a moment. And just remember, pain and suffering can ignite the change, but pleasure leads to permanent change. So with all of the habits and things, if you're, for instance, just looking to lose weight, once you've lost weight, the pain has gone. You want to actually learn to actually enjoy the process, and you can learn to enjoy the process by rewarding yourself with the process. So once you've lost the weight, you can still carry on eating and doing things in a healthy way, so that you don't carry on losing weight, so that you stay where you want to be, for instance. Now, if, there we go, you are wanting to go a little bit deeper, and then I've got a free 5-day, £5 detox process, because it's a process that you can keep repeating. It's not just about doing it for 5 days. You can take a lot of the elements and put them into your daily life, because it goes into about bring more love into your life. It's about decreasing stress, finding the joy of movement, for instance, as well. And what you can do is you can just pick up your phone, put on the camera or the QR code scanner, and it will take you to the website that's underneath, because there we go, that website. Or you can just put in bodyimbalance.clickfunnels.com/£5 detox. But if you've got a QR code scanner, you can just scan that, and it should then allow you to just tap on the button and take you straight to the website. And then you can sign up, and you'll get the emails and links to the Facebook group, and you can go through the process. And keep in mind, though, as I said, it is a process. It is a process. It's a journey. And this is a chart that I'm going to start trying to use more in the clinic again. Your health and vitality increase with all the good processes, but your health and vitality decrease with trauma, toxins. Oh, trauma, toxins, neural stresses. And then I originally used this for chiropractic care. And so when people first come in, there you go, under this line, which means they've got symptoms. And they can basically have some care and do some things, or you can change your diet, you can get to the weight you want, and you get to the point where you have no symptoms, or you reach your target. But then you slip back into your old ways, and pain comes back and problems come back. Whereas really it's about not just working with yourself until you've actually got what you want, but actually finding the processes to keep you getting better and better. So you go from symptomatic or overweight to not being overweight to actually having a great body and amazing shape. So this can help you get there mentally and physically. The 5-day, £5 detox process. Thank you very much for watching. If you have questions, reach out via email or put questions in the Facebook group. And yeah, and next week I plan to go a little bit more maybe into human needs and designing your MVP process. So there you go. Bye for now, and be absolutely awesome. Live long and prosper with magnificent health. And if you need help, if you're watching this on YouTube, for instance, reach out to me via the £5 detox challenge, or you can find me at bodyimbalanceuk.com, or you can try phoning the clinic on 01 707 662 704. Bye for now.